Hello my beautiful makeup geeks! This video is everything you need to know about makeup brushes. Which ones you should have, what they're used for, which ones you should get that maybe are matte quality, which ones you can get that are less expensive. I'm going to try to save you some money today and do a comparison also between some MAC brushes and some Makeup Geek ones. I promise to be 100% honest. I'm not going to promote certain brushes just for the sake of selling them, but I will do a comparison so you can see ways that you can save money. Now there's 4 eye brushes that you should have. The flat stiff brush, the stiff dome brush, soft dome brush, and the pencil brush. The flat stiff brush looks like this, and you use this to pack on eyeshadow onto the lid. It needs to be flat so it will press eyeshadow directly over your primer that you put on, and it needs to be stiff so it picks up a lot of color. The MAC one is the number 239. And I don't know the price of these, but I'll have them all listed on the Makeup Geek site, so check that out. I put together a huge article that'll really be helpful for you guys. The Makeup Geek equivalent is I call it the flat shader brush. It's basically a concealer brush. Now let me show you the difference between the two. I don't know if you guys can see those. The MAC one is a little bit bigger and a little bit thicker. They both work the same. They're both very stiff and will pack on eyeshadow well. If you have smaller eyes, I would say to get the Makeup Geek one. If you have larger eyes or you want to apply a lot of eyeshadow, then the MAC one would be better. But they both work well. They're both flat and stiff. The stiff dome brush is my absolute favorite one, and you use this to do the perfect smoky eye because you can just do a circular motion out here. You can feather it in for a look like what I have like I'm wearing today, tongue-tied, and then you can use it to apply color in the crease. Since it's stiff, it's going to pick up more color. The stiffer the bristles, the more color it picks up, the darker the look. The softer the bristles, the more feathered and more faded it's going to look. But the stiff dome one, the MAC equivalent, is the 217. Looks like this. And a great alternative that I just discovered is the NYX Professional Crease Brush. And as you guys can tell, the head of them are exactly the same size. The only difference I could tell is the NYX one is maybe just a little bit thicker, but they're both stiff and they work great for creating that perfect smoky eye. Now the fluffy dome brush looks like this, and you want to use it to apply shadow under your brow bone. Since it's soft, it's going to give you a very light and airy finish, and it's perfect for blending. You can also use it in the crease if you want just a little bit of color. You don't want anything too dark. You can even use it to apply loose powder under the eyes to set it so you don't have that creasing. The MAC one is the number 224. And the inexpensive alternative is the Makeup Geek, and I called it the soft dome brush because I wanted you to know what it was used for. But here's the difference. Again, the Makeup Geek one is a little bit thinner and a little bit smaller. They're both very soft. I actually prefer the Makeup Geek one more because the MAC one sometimes can be a little too big, especially with smaller eyes. It just takes over the whole lids, but they both work really well. Now the pencil brush is used to smudge eyeshadow under the lower lash line and to even smudge your eyeliner so you don't get that harsh look. You can even use it to define the outer V or by creating a very strong crease. It's just a very small, fine pointed brush. The MAC equivalent is the 219. And the closest thing I found is the Essence of Beauty Crease Brush Duo. There's 2 brushes in a set, and the larger one of the 2 is very close to the MAC one. The difference is the Essence of Beauty one is a little softer and just a little bigger, so it's not going to give you as defined of a crease. Between the 2, they both work well, but I reach for the MAC one a little bit more. Now for your face brushes, these are somewhat optional. It depends on what kind of products you wear on your face, but there's 4 that I use every day. The foundation stippling brush, the blush brush, contour brush, and the cheek highlighter brush. Now the foundation stippling brush is one that I just started using in the last year or so, and I use the Makeup Geek one because it's stiff and the bristles are shorter, so it gives me a very airbrush finish to my foundation. The MAC equivalent is the number 188, and it's the Duo Fiber Brush. The difference between the two, the MAC one, the bristles are a lot longer and it's a lot softer, so this one tends to streak on me a little bit more. Granted, it feels a little bit softer on the face, but I'm willing to deal with a little bit stiffer bristles if it's going to give me that airbrushed finish. Now the blush brush is just that. You're going to use it to apply powder brush to the apples of your cheeks. It needs to be soft so it doesn't pick up a ton of color because you want your blush to look very soft and natural. You want it to be angled so that way you could blend it back towards the temple and get a very natural blending. The MAC one for that is the number 168 and it's very soft, and the Makeup Geek one is actually very comparable. They both work exactly the same, so it really depends on if you're devoted to your MAC brushes or if you're willing to go with something less expensive, but definitely make sure it's angled and it's soft. The contour brush is an optional one. Not everyone wants to contour under your cheekbones, but if you do, I really like the MAC 108 brush, and it looks like this. It has a very rounded tip to it. I used to use one like this, and this is the Makeup Geek one. I actually prefer the MAC one better because that rounded tip, I'm able to get up under the cheekbones a little bit better. But if you're just starting off with contouring, you may want the angled one because it's easy just to get that line going. But you need to be careful that you don't get that streak there. So that's why I kind of like the MAC one a little bit better. Either way, you need the bristles to be stiff so it gets a nice defined line. Now the cheek highlighter brush, that's what I call it, but it's actually a dual fiber brush. The MAC one for that is the number 188. And the Makeup Geek one is almost completely identical and a lot cheaper. I use this brush to apply highlighter on the top of my cheekbone. So I just take a light shimmery color and just sweep it on, really easy to apply. You can even use this to apply blush to the apples of your cheeks, but since the brush is kind of small, it tends to focus it here instead of giving a blended look that the angled blush brush gives. But these are great to have in your kit, not must-haves, but just nice to have. Now a couple optional eye brushes that you should have in your kit, but they aren't absolutely necessary. I use them all the time. The one is the bent liner brush. It's an eyeliner brush you use to apply cream or gel liners to the upper lash line. I like the bent handle because you can lay it flat against your lid, just drag it out, and it gives you a very smooth, even line. My favorite is the Sonia Kashuk one. You can get that at any Target store. I do sell some in the Makeup Geek store, and it's very similar, but I do prefer the Sonia Kashuk one a little bit more because the tip is a bit finer. The other brush that you should have in your kit is some sort of angled brush like this. The MAC equivalent I think is number 266, but honestly, and I'm being purely honest, I like the Makeup Geek one more, the one that has the dual end, because I use this side to fill in my brows with eyeshadow, and the other end has the spoolie, and I use that to comb through my brows or even to separate my lashes. So I like how it has two sides to it. Now a couple other optional products that you can have in your kit, and I really do recommend these, but you don't have to have them. You want a powder puff. And I like the NYX ones because they're cheap, and since they can get dirty over time, and they're kind of hard to clean, you have to toss them after a while. So definitely get the less expensive ones. The NYX ones are great. You use this to press powder on your face. Now a lot of makeup artists will use the kabuki brush to do that. I don't like it because it applies too much powder. With the powder puff, you pick just a little bit of powder up, press it on, and it just gives you a smoother finish and it doesn't apply too much powder. The other thing that I think you should have, especially if you're a makeup artist, is the Beauty Blender sponge. It's an egg-shaped sponge that's really smooth, and it's great for applying foundation or any type of cream products to the face because you can just roll it and it gives you a very airbrush finish, and it's great for if you apply too much blush too, you can kind of roll it on here and take some of that off so you don't have any harsh lines on your face. I hope that video was really helpful for you guys in picking out what makeup brushes that you need. Definitely get those 8 brushes, especially if you're going to become a makeup artist. Your tools will make the biggest difference in how your makeup turns out. Go to makeupgeek.com. I put a really big article together for you guys. It took me a lot of time to do that. I really wanted to help you guys, so check it out. And I hope you guys stay happy and healthy, get some sunshine, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye! Now a color